The serious work on the inaugural began the very next day, January 10th. Sorensen had started thinking about it seriously in the middle of December after they had gotten the personnel together for the administration. But JFK and Sorensen would work for about a week or so, from the 10th to roughly the 17th and 18th, really putting their heads together on this inaugural address itself. When we look at the inaugural, there are various questions we can ask, some of which I'll touch on here. Why is it so memorable? What insights does it offer into the administration? What's its legacy? There's also the issue of craft. What are its mechanics? What's so special about the placement of words in the address? And in a sense, that's maybe the most fundamental question of all, the words. Whose words are they? Are they Kennedy's words? Are they Sorensen's words? What's the provenance of the address? Who really wrote it? In the past half dozen years or so, there are two books that appeared to address this question head on. Rick Toffel's Sounding the Trumpet and Thurston Clark's Ask Not. Toffel argues that if you have to identify a principal author, it's Sorensen. If you look at the number of sentences, a plurality of those probably came from Sorensen's, I'm not going to say pen, but typewriter. Toffel's not wholly consumed with this issue of authorship. He thinks it's important, but it's not the overriding concern of his book. It is the overriding concern of Thurston Clark's book. He argues that it really is fundamental to understand who the author of the inaugural address was, and for him, the author is John Kennedy. As he will write, Clark will write, to deny him full credit for the address not only diminishes his legacy and weakens his claim on the hearts and minds of future generations, it also distances him and us from a speech that's a distillation of his experiences, philosophy, and character. And that might be something we kick around in the Q&A. To what extent does it really matter that we pin the authorship on one or the other? What I'd like to do in the remaining 15 or so minutes is to look at the structure of the address and some key passages to try to tease out what the address tells us about the administration itself. JFK will begin by setting the stage. He provides a context for all that's going to follow. And the audience here is made up of Americans as well as those abroad. As with the convention speech, this is who we are as Americans, this is where we've come from. And where they'd come from most recently was a sense of complacency, a sense of drift, a lack of vitality that you had in the Eisenhower years. And many people had commented on that at the time. It's not a retrospective judgment. It's something that people were aware of and remarking on at the time. There's also a sense of pessimism across the land. There are worries about Soviet advances. Moscow's launch of Sputnik in October of '57. The alleged existence of a missile gap that Kennedy had campaigned effectively on. Castro's revolution on the nation's doorstep. Questions about the universal appeal of democracy here in 1960 as 18 nations are becoming independent in Asia and Africa. Where are they going to turn for their models of development? To the Soviet model, which offers some revolutionary, very quick opportunities to bypass certain stages of growth and achieve fantastic rates of production, or the slower, evolutionary, more organic approach that you would see in the West. Who's going to be victorious in this battle for the hearts and minds? And I should say the Chinese model as well as the Soviet model there. This is the background for the speech that allows Kennedy to say that there's a new team in town. There's been a change of leadership. And I think it's important when we look at the address to listen to the address as well. So we'll be doing some of that.
Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century, tempered by war, disciplined by a hard and bitter peace, proud of our ancient heritage, and unwilling to witness or permit the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed and to which we are committed today at home and around the world.
Now, following this introductory passage, kind of setting the stage, Kennedy begins the process of pledge making. of speaking to the world, both to allies as well as adversaries. And I say pledges as different than promises. He's not committing to specific programs. What I see him doing is articulating a set of principles. You can even see something of a roadmap for the administration, its general posture and agenda.